You know, it's funny how some brands just feel like they've been around forever, like they're practically woven into the cultural landscape. But even those iconic brands, they need to evolve to stay relevant, right?
Absolutely.
That's what makes this deep dive into Walmart's brand refresh so fascinating. We're going to unpack their official press release. It's from January 13th, 2025. We've also got some really interesting analysis from NBC New York. We'll dig into all of it and see what it means for the retail giants strategy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting case study, especially when you think about how deeply Walmart is woven into like the fabric of American retail.
Yeah.
Their moves have ripple effects across the entire industry.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. The press release calls this a comprehensive brand refresh. New word mark, updated color palette, they're really going all out. And they're leaning hard into this whole idea of evolution.
Yeah, what strikes me is how they're trying to thread that needle between heritage and a forward-looking image. Like, take the new word mark, for instance. It's inspired by Sam Walton's trucker hat, an image that's practically synonymous with Walmart's, like, origin story. But it's rendered in this really sleek, modern font. It's almost like a subtle way of saying, we're still Walmart, but we're evolving.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they kept the spark, too, that iconic yellow starburst. You have to wonder if there were internal debates about keeping that. It's so recognizable, but also maybe a bit dated.
Yeah, for sure.
They did freshen up the color scheme, though, calling it True Blue and Spark Yellow. Again, a nod to that classic Walmart blue, but with a contemporary twist.
Yeah, it's interesting, this blending of the old and the new. It's not just about aesthetics, right? It's a calculated strategy to leverage their brand legacy. I mean, think about Coca-Cola, for example, and how they constantly tap into nostalgia while also keeping their image fresh.
Yeah.
I think Walmart's trying to pull off a similar feat.
Right, right. And there's this thread throughout the press release about being relatable and approachable. I get the sense they're trying to project this image that really resonates with everyday people. It's not about exclusivity, it's about value and accessibility.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, especially when you consider their target demographic.
Yeah.
This isn't a luxury brand trying to cultivate an aura of exclusivity. Walmart's bread and butter is appealing to the masses. And this refresh seems designed to reinforce that message.
For sure. Now, here's where things get really intriguing. The NBC New York article mentions that Walmart actually started rolling out this new look back in October of 2024 at a store in Arkansas, of all places, their home turf. And it was a very quiet, under-the-radar rollout. What do you make of that choice?
Well, a soft launch like that could serve several purposes, right? It could be about testing customer reactions in a real-world setting, making sure the new branding resonates before a wider rollout. It also gives them time to, like, iron out any operational kinks.
Yeah, I bet even a minor change at a company as massive as Walmart could create huge logistical headaches if they don't plan it perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget the PR benefits either. Starting small like that
Yeah.
generates buzz and media attention, like this NBC piece, for example.
Yeah.
By the time they make the official announcement, people are already talking about it.
Makes sense. Speaking of generating buzz, the press release goes all in on Walmart's um, digital ambitions. They keep mentioning things like omnichannel experiences and digital convenience. It seems like they're laser focused on becoming a true, like, digital retailer.
Yeah, and that's where the real challenge lies. We're not just talking about a cosmetic makeover here. This is about a fundamental shift in how Walmart operates and competes. In a world dominated by e-commerce, they're going head-to-head with Amazon, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, for sure. It's mind-boggling when you think about the scale of their operation, too. Thousands of stores, a global supply chain, millions of customers, all needing to be integrated into this seamless digital experience. It's a mountain to climb.
No doubt about it. And it's not just about the technology either. It's about understanding how customer behavior is changing and meeting those evolving expectations. People want convenience, personalization, and a consistent experience, whether they're shopping online, through an app, or in a physical store.
Yeah, the press release actually quotes William White, Walmart's CMO. He says, "As our customers evolve, we will too." It seems like they're acknowledging the need to adapt to stay relevant. But what do you think that evolution looks like for Walmart's core customer? What are they responding to with this brand refresh?
That's a good question. I think Walmart is making a calculated bet that their customer is increasingly digitally savvy, but still values the things Walmart has always stood for: value, convenience, and a sense of familiarity. They're not trying to become a trendy, exclusive brand. This refresh is about making their existing strengths more accessible
No.
and relevant to a customer who's constantly on the go.
Right, but isn't there a risk of alienating their loyal customer base, the folks who've been shopping at Walmart for years, by trying to chase after a younger, more digitally focused demographic?
It's a tightrope walk, for sure. But remember, even those loyal customers are changing their shopping habits. They're using their smartphones, comparing prices online, and expecting a certain level of convenience. Walmart can't afford to ignore those shifting expectations.
Right, so they're trying to appeal to a broader audience without losing sight of their core values. It makes you wonder if this soft launch in Arkansas was partly about making sure the refresh resonated with their most loyal customer base before going national.
That's a really astute observation. It makes perfect sense to test the waters in a market where they have a strong established presence and a deep understanding of their customer.
For sure, for sure. And you mentioned earlier that this is about more than just visuals. What are some concrete steps Walmart is taking to become this digital retailer they keep talking about?
Well, they've been investing heavily in their e-commerce platform and their mobile app, making it easier for customers to browse, order, and track their purchases. They've also been experimenting with new fulfillment models, like curbside pickup and delivery services, recognizing that convenience is paramount in the digital age.
It's like they're trying to become the Amazon of brick-and-mortar retail. But with Amazon already so dominant in the e-commerce space, can Walmart really catch up?
That's the million-dollar question. They certainly have the resources and the infrastructure to make a serious run at it. But remember, Amazon has a head start and a culture built around digital innovation. Walmart is playing catch-up, and it's a steep learning curve.
Yeah, it sounds like Walmart is trying to position itself as a company that can offer the best of both worlds. The convenience of online shopping with the familiarity and accessibility of a physical store.
Exactly. They're trying to create a truly omnichannel experience where the lines between online and offline shopping become blurred.
Yeah.
And for a company as large and as ingrained in American culture as Walmart, the success or failure of this strategy has implications that go far beyond their own bottom line.
It really does. It makes you wonder how their competitors, both big and small, are going to respond to this bold move from Walmart. It feels like they've thrown down the gauntlet.
Absolutely. This is a wake-up call for the entire retail industry. And it'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out over the coming years.
It will be. You know, this whole discussion has been a great reminder that even the biggest, most established brands can't rest on their laurels. They have to adapt, innovate, and constantly evolve to stay relevant in today's, rapidly changing marketplace.
I couldn't agree more. And what's interesting about Walmart's approach is that they're not trying to reinvent themselves entirely, are they? They're building on their existing strengths, leveraging their legacy,
Yeah.
and adapting it to the digital age.
Right. And that brings us back to that quote from their CMO. As our customers evolve, we will too. It's a simple statement, but it speaks volumes about their strategic thinking. They're recognizing that customer expectations are constantly evolving, and they're committed to evolving alongside them.
It's a smart approach, but the real test is execution. Can they deliver on that promise? Can they seamlessly integrate their physical and digital operations in a way that truly enhances the customer experience?
I guess we'll have to wait and see, but one thing's for sure, Walmart isn't standing still. They're making bold moves to stay ahead of the curve. And that's something we can all learn from, no matter what industry we're in.
Well said.
It's funny how we often think of branding as purely visual, logos, colors, fonts, but it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's about the story a brand tells and how that story resonates with people.
Absolutely. Branding is a form of storytelling. It's about creating a narrative that connects with people on an emotional level and shapes their perceptions of a company.
So what story is Walmart trying to tell with this brand refresh? What kind of vibe are they going for?
Well, if branding is storytelling, then I think the story Walmart is trying to tell is one of evolution and adaptability. It's a story that says, we're not the same Walmart you might remember from your childhood.
Yeah.
We're innovative, digitally savvy, and we're evolving to meet the needs of the modern shopper.
Yeah.
But they're also careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? They're retaining that core message of value, affordability, and a focus on the everyday customer. That has always been at the heart of their brand.
Right. It's a bit like they're trying to thread a needle, appealing to a younger, more tech-savvy audience
Mm,
without alienating their loyal customer base, who might be less comfortable with all the digital bells and whistles.
exactly. It's a delicate balancing act. And that's why this brand refresh is so fascinating to analyze. They're trying to signal a shift in their strategic direction
Hmm.
while staying true to their core values.
Will it work, though? Will this new story resonate with shoppers, especially those younger shoppers who might have preconceived notions about Walmart? That's the billion-dollar question.
Only time will tell, of course.
Yeah.
But I think this brand refresh is a smart move. It
Mhm.
shows that Walmart is paying attention to the changing retail landscape,
Yeah.
to the evolving needs and expectations of their customers. They're not just reacting, they're anticipating and adapting. And in a market as dynamic and competitive as retail, that's essential for survival.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder for all of us, really, no matter what industry we're in. Even the most successful companies can't afford to stand still. They have to be willing to evolve, to take risks, and to adapt to the ever-changing demands of the market.
I think that's a great takeaway from this deep dive. We've seen how a brand as ubiquitous as Walmart is navigating this complex landscape, trying to balance heritage with innovation, digital transformation with a focus on core values. It's a story that's still being written, and it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds in the years to come.
Yeah, this has been such an insightful conversation. It really makes you think about the forces shaping the retail industry and the challenges and opportunities facing even the biggest players.
Absolutely. And it highlights the power of branding as a strategic tool,
Hmm.
a way for companies to communicate their values, their vision, and their story to the world.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. And to all our listeners out there, keep an eye on how other brands are evolving their image and their messaging. It's a fascinating window into the ever-changing world of business and consumer behavior.